Iraq's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities says that Islamic State militants have bulldozed the Nimrud archaeological site near the northern city of Mosul using heavy military vehicles. It was the latest in a series of attacks on ancient structures and artifacts in Syria and Iraq that the group has destroyed in the name of its harsh interpretation of Islamic law. Last week, IS militants videotaped themselves destroying the statues and artifacts in the Mosul Museum. The Mosul Museum, which was captured by the city during its offensive in Iraq last June. So, Jose, this is really pissing a lot of people off, especially historians. So I just want to know, what is your take on it personally? How do you feel about ancient structures being defaced and destroyed?
I mean, we've seen it that it's a pattern that they have now. They have the burning of the books.
It's come to define the group.
2 weeks. I think you hit it right on the nail. I think ISIS is finding a way to be associated with these bold actions that is not only disrespecting the sovereignty of countries by making terrorist attacks. They are actually going against the whole world. What is left from our history of that something is shared for all the planet. These ruins, they are very, very important. We don't get to hear that much often, but they're at the level of the biggest historical sites in the world. And I think that this action by ISIS just shows that they don't care, and they're willing to make these statements where they decide that history can be rewritten, and it's sad. And
it's sad that it's taking place in the Levant, which holds so many old sites like Nimrud, which is almost like the cradle of civilization. It's really sad. Here's what Irina Bokova, head of the UN Cultural Agency of UNESCO, had to say about all this. She said that this is yet another attack against the Iraqi people, reminding us that nothing is safe from the cultural cleansing underway in the country. The deliberate destruction of cultural heritage constitutes a war crime. There's absolutely no political or religious justification for the destruction of humanity's cultural heritage. That is very true. And it kind of touches on another thing. Do you think that you could ever see this as justifiable as the destruction of old sites as grounds for military intervention and action against ISIS? Do you think it's that serious?
And I was wondering the same thing, is we take action when there's a human life in danger, when they're doing these terrorist attacks that are taking lives. But I think this is as grave, because it's as dangerous for them to destroy something that belongs to the whole planet. So I think that I was thinking about, yes, there's a group of countries that are getting together to fight ISIS, but only in terms of the lives that they're taking, but not about the destruction that they're leaving behind with every expansion that they're trying to do. And I think you can't, there's nothing we can do about it, really. And also, the other component to this is that it's a profitable activity for them to be ransacking these sites. I think it's one of their main sources of income is to go to these ruins and these archaeological sites and take the most valuable items, resell them, and then destroy the rest as just as a statement of power and of that they're willing and able to take these actions.
Yeah, and where do all those artifacts end up? In the West, in Europe, and that's the main buyer for them. Speaking of the West, I think it's apparent here that we mentioned that these sites, for example, the things that were destroyed in the Mosul Museum, as well as Nimrud, these places historically are just as important as, let's say, the Parthenon in Athens or the Colosseum in Rome. We don't think that way here because, unfortunately, here world civilization seems to be the same as Western civilization when learning it in school. There isn't a big difference. You won't learn about ancient Middle Eastern cultures unless you're talking about routes through China, or you won't talk about African
early settlements and
early settlements unless you're talking about slavery, unfortunately. And that's the viewpoint that we take. But these sites in the Middle East, like I said, are the cradle of civilization. They're huge, huge, huge for historians, so it's a real big blow. Unfortunately, it's really sad that we have to see it this way, but that's what they're doing, and I
it
agree
seems
with you.
it seems that it's going to continue. That's the saddest part. It seems like there's other sites that are being
in Libya, for example.
Yeah, Libya.
Yeah, a lot of UNESCO sites in Libya.
Yeah, and they're doing a big expansion in Libya, and I think there's a couple of places that are already on the kind of on a list for the country to be watching out because they're going after them.
Yeah, they're trying to piss people off, and I think this is really what this is really
working.
doing the job.
It's
So what do you guys
working.
think? Do you think that destroying of cultural and heritage sites like Nimrud is enough for countries to take military action against IS? Let us know in the comments below, of course, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Lip TV.